Hi there, welcome to So Fun, July 2024. I'm Tracy and it's good to see you again. We're going to start with this right here. This is called Drive-Through. They're cute little placemats. I love how you have this big piece of fabric here that you could use for your focus fabric. So you could do some big flowers on this. You could do some really cute embroidery designs, all sorts of different things. I have this really cute fabric. It's got Kellogg's cereals all over it. I mean, how cute is that? So just pulled out a couple of fabrics that matched it from my stash and made a set of 4 placemats. This project goes together really quickly because you're just doing strip piecing on the borders and then sewing this onto it. So it goes together really quick. I did make 4 of them so everybody can have one at the table. Just did quilting. I echo quilted around the edges of all my seams and that was about it. When I make placemats and table runners, I like to use Thermore batting instead of like Warm and Natural or Hobbs 80/20. It's a lot thinner batting. So when it's on your table, if your glass is right on the edge of it, it's not going to tip over or anything. So these have Thermore batting in them. But the pattern is called Drive-Through by Miss Winnie Designs. Okay, this project I have is a wireframe carrying case by Zaka Workshop. I thought it would be great for a little makeup bag. It's kind of a little small for a makeup bag if you're going to put your lotion and stuff in it too. But if you're just doing basic makeup, it's good. It has a wire frame inside, so it'll stay open while you're doing your makeup. I put OD coat on the outside of this. It's a kind of like a waterproofing product. You just kind of lay your fabric out flat. You brush it on with a foam brush, let it dry overnight. And then it's kind of water resistant. It's not really waterproof, but it's water resistant. And then on the inside, I use the pull fabric. It's PUL, and I'm not totally sure what PUL stands for, but basically this fabric is what they use in baby diapers and stuff like that. So it's nice. You can just wipe it off on the inside. But it's just a nice little bag. It'd be great also to put your sewing stuff in, that kind of thing, if you're going to do some little sewing while you're traveling or whatever. The pattern comes with the wire frame and a little zipper. Comes with the white zipper. I had a yellow one. It matched my bag better, so I changed it out. You make the whole little bag, put a little zipper casing here right under the zipper. You slide the wire frame through it, and then it opens and closes like that. So quick little bag. I think it has some great uses for it, and it didn't take long to make, and it takes a fat quarter for the inside and outside. And then I use 987 fusible fleece on the fabric so that it would stand up a little bit better. So this next project I have is Heartfelt Gift Pockets by Kimberbell. This design has been out for a while, but I've never made it, and I had a few ideas for some gifts for it, so I went ahead and picked it up. So this one that I made says on it, quilting friends keep you in stitches. So it's totally done in the hoop. You hoop a lightweight tearaway on there, lay down some fabric, you know how the whole in the hoop thing goes, does its embroidery thing, and then you have this nice little pocket so you can slide a fat quarter in here or some fabric, some little sewing tools, whatever. This little ribbon is supposed to hold a tube that Kimberbell made quite a few years ago. You could put little gift things in it. They had one that would hold Oreos. They had some for little M&Ms and whatever. Those tubes have been discontinued. So I just tied a whole spool of ribbon on there. So I made my string, the ribbon here, a lot longer than they called for. And I tied my ribbon on, or a spool of thread on there. And it just works perfect. But this would be great gifts for people. This one is for some sewing things I'm doing. There's different designs for quilting, if you're sick, just to say hi, to say thank you, graduation, birthday, all sorts of, there's 12 different little pockets that you can make for little gifts and give someone. You can put some gift cards in here, all that kind of thing. So just a cute little fast thing. This took about 30 minutes to stitch out, but when you add in the cutting time and all that, it's a little bit longer, but it was definitely less than 40 minutes. It was not even one TV show. So just a cute little project you can do really quickly. This next project I have is called Shuffle Table Runners and Placemats. And I didn't want to make any more placemats, but I love table runners. And you guys know I have so many scraps. I'm trying to use up my fabric. So I made a table runner with this. So I like the way the blocks go up and down. This was really quick to make. I don't know, it was just really quick to make. Just a few different pieces. They're all the same piece. You make all 4 pieces or all 4 sections and sew them together. Just really cute, fast, great for scrap busting. And then to do the quilting on it, I first stitched in the ditch around all of my little blue pieces. And then I used these Gypsy Quilter Fabulous Fabric Glides to do little tiny micro quilting on all my yellow parts. You can see it a little bit better on the back. What's nice about these is they're for free motion quilting. It has grippers on the bottom. You lay it on your fabric. This part goes to the back of your hoop or your foot. And you have little handles here, and you can just go around and do your free motion quilting. It's great when you're doing micro quilting because you're just working these little tiny areas. So when you get to the edge, you can stop, reposition, and do some more quilting with it. I like it because it has these little grippers, so it really holds onto the fabric really well. You can hold on to these really well, so your fingers don't get crunched up when you're doing other stuff. If you're not used to free motion quilting, if you haven't done it very often, this is a great way to practice. Practice on a table runner. You don't have to worry about a lot of bulk like you do with a quilt. And just kind of work on table runners and then work yourself up to a baby quilt and then a wall lap quilt and just go bigger and bigger and bigger. But I like these. They come in 2 different sizes. I used this size. It worked out perfect. I could do just about 1 section each time before moving it. So it just worked great for this whole project. But this is the Shuffle Quilt or Table Runner by Connect Quilters. So when you guys make quilts, and when I make quilts, I'm very, very bad at this, you should label them. And some I do, some I don't. But you really should. That way when people find them in 100 years, you know who made it, why, who it's for, all of that stuff. So these are 101 quilt labels that you can iron on. So you just cut out this little piece, iron it on to some nice fabric. You can color it, you can do some stitching on it, all sorts of things, and then you sew it onto the back of your quilt. Usually I sew it onto the bottom right corner of the back. You could even do it on a corner. You take a little square piece of fabric, do your quilt label, and then you sew it like right into the corner here when you're sewing in your binding, so not too much handwork there. But it's just nice to label your quilts. None of these are labeled. I will get to that. But even for this one, it's dog fabric. There's a really cute one in here that has doggies on it. There's some that are all sewing things. There's one that's a postcard that was really cute. So you can personalize these quilt labels for you and then put them on your quilt. What's nice too is they're iron-on. You can use it 4 or 5 times, it says, before you can't really use them again before it's all gone. But just a nice, fast way to label your quilts. So this first book I have for you today is Quilts of Valor, All-Star Quilts of Valor. It has quilts made in here from Mark Lipinski. I don't even remember all the rest. Quite a few different quilts in here. There's 25 new patterns for Quilts of Valor. So the quilt I made out of this book is this red, white, and blue one. I love star quilts. I love how it goes halfway around each side of it. And then I love how the stars, the way you make the stars, there's like a border around it so you don't have to add sashing in between the quilt blocks. So less time, less fabric, faster, and it looks like it has sashing around it that you don't have to line up and all that. I was going to do my binding with blue on one side and red on the other, like the quilt is, but honestly, I didn't have any more red fabric, so I just went with blue. But the way to do that, if you want your corners to match the, where it cuts off, is sew your red binding, your blue binding together. Sew from one side of the corner to the other side of the corner, then sew up and around, and then connect it again on the other side of the corner. So it's easy to do it that way, but I ran out of fabric and I just didn't have time to go get more, so I just went with all the blue, and I think it looks fine that way. But it would be really cute if you did blue and red on either the same side as the blue and red or even opposite sides. But there's quite a few other quilts in here. I love this one here. It's like an anchor, and it's made with hexes. I mean, how cute is that? And then I love this one that's all stars with the Drunkard's Path. So quite a few different quilts in here. You can do 25 actually. For Quilts of Valor, it's just nice to make a few quilts, give them to the Quilts of Valor group, and then they give them to veterans that served for us, and just a nice way to say thank you to them. So keeping on that theory is this next book is Americana quilt. Since it's July, I figured I'd do a few red, white, and blue quilts. But when I was looking through this book and picking out what I was going to make, I love this United Together quilt. And I had this blue fabric, and I didn't want to add it with red. So I just have a blue and white quilt. And you can do that. You can make your own quilt colors. You don't have to follow the red, white, and blue theme. So I went and got this blue fabric at our Littleton store, made it up. This looks like it's an on-the-point block, but it's not really. It's just square. There are lots of little lines that have to be lined up when you're making this, but it lined up really easily without too much pinning and too much cursing and all that kind of stuff. It went together really not easily, but it went together nicely. It took a little time, but not too bad. But I think it turned out lovely. I love the quilt. I had just enough of this fabric. I've had it forever, and I have a couple of extra blocks. I made a little table runner to match it, but I think it looks great. It doesn't have to be red, white, and blue, but I think it turned out really nicely still. Then this next quilt book I have is pre-cut strips and squares. We all love the pre-cuts because it just eliminates half the time of quilting. So this is made, the quilts in here are made with charm packs, layer cakes, or jelly rolls. I used a charm pack for the Halloween quilt. And then the book actually called to use a layer cake. No, it called to use a jelly roll and a mini roll. So you have 2.5-inch strips and 1.5-inch strips, and then you use your own fabric. So I just cut orange and black fabric. It's just a mot de grunge, orange and black for my sashing pieces. And I used a charm pack for all the Halloween fabrics. It is actually pretty big. It's folded in half right now, but it's a pretty big quilt. It went together super easy because you're just basically outlining the blocks and then you put them all together. So super easy. There's no border on it. You just do a little bit of binding and you're all done. So a really quick little quilt. I quilted it with spider webs. So I just went on Pinterest and Googled or searched on Pinterest spiderweb quilting and came up with a design, practiced it a few times on my whiteboard, and then quilted it and kind of connected it with loopy quilting, and it turned out really cute. So this is their version of it right here, and then that's my Halloween one. So then this other quilt by them is made with a dog layer cake. So it's all sorts of doggy fabric, and it's layer cake. So the quilt in here is it's gray and yellow, which is beautiful. I love gray and yellow. But it's very elegant looking. The doggy quilt is very kid looking, and I think it looks really cute. They actually have you use a charm pack for this. I used a layer cake and a half instead, so you kind of can cut the layer cake into 4 pieces, and then you have 4 sets of charm packs instead of just 2. So I have a bit of this layer cake left over, so I can do some more stuff with it. It's really easy to put together. You're doing a 4 patch on the center of the star points, and then like a little 4 patch around it. So it goes together really quickly. I cannot believe this fabric matched it exactly. It's a Moda Grunge, and it is the exact colors in that whole quilt. It just turned out great. The one thing I changed is when you're doing, the way they have you do the star points, you sew your 2.5-inch pieces together and cut off the side. I didn't want to waste all that fabric, so I cut my squares at 3 inches instead of 2.5, and drew a line down the center of it. So then I had 2 star points on each side. So I didn't waste any of that fabric. So, but it turned out really cute, and it went together pretty easily. It's a lot of piecing, so it took forever, but I think it turned out really cute, and it was easy. It just took a little bit of time. So this next quilt I have is called Suitcases. I thought this was just adorable. This would be great if you collect fabric when you're out on your trips and stuff, to kind of highlight your trip with different fabrics that you collected. It went together super easy. It's just, they actually have you use fat quarters and 2 suitcases. 2 fat quarters make 2 suitcases. I use scraps. This would be really cute if you collect t-shirts when you're on a cruise or something. You can leave out these sashing pieces and make this your t-shirt. I think that you could do so many different things with this fabric. This background fabric that I used is like from 1944 or 34, but it's like a map, and it has all these different travel things and airline stuff from a long time, 44 or whatever. But I think it just turned out really cool. But I love how you could put your t-shirts on here when you go on a cruise and make that a really custom quilt for you to remember your cruises by or something like that. So I have a couple little things here. I used this on one of the quilts I made, and I don't remember what, but it's just a little rotating mat. I like how it has the little finger holes here so you can rotate it easily. One of the quilts that I made, it might have been the table runners. I don't know what I did. But, you know, you cut, with the rotating mat, you can cut without lifting your ruler. It's more accurate for cutting, all of that kind of thing. So, but I like this little OmniGrid one because it just turns really easily, and you can just kind of put your finger here and spin it. So we have that here for you also. And then this last quilt I have, I think, is the most adorable quilt ever. It's Dinosaurs by Elizabeth Hartman. My daughter's best friend, they've been best friends since 6th grade, is having her first baby, and they're doing the baby's room in Dinosaurs. And we had just got an email that this pattern was available, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this for her. So I said, okay, what color is the room going to be? She goes, it's going to be gray with colors on it. Okay, what color? She goes, colors. So I just use all of these bright colors. This thing was easy to make, but some of the dinosaurs are a little harder than others. I started with this big guy, and he went together super easy. Then I made him, and he went together really easy. And the little Triceratops was a piece of cake. And then this Stegosaurus was just a goober. When you're making this, if you've ever done any Elizabeth Hartman patterns, she tells you to cut, these are the cutting directions for the Stegosaurus. So your background fabric, your fern fabrics, everything is labeled. So you need to cut like block number B, 1 by 1.5 inch squares. And it goes from A through double I. So there's a lot of little pieces on there, and some of them are only 1 inch big. So I just cut up little pieces of paper, label it II, 1 by 2, and keep all those labels together. And after you've sewn like II to GH to F, keep all of those pieces still labeled so when you go to the next step, you know what this was. Because when I made the Stegosaurus, this little part here, I had to redo like twice. And I made 2 of them at a time, so technically that's 4 times you had to redo it. So just keep everything labeled and keep it, or label everything as you cut it. Keep everything labeled together even after you've sewn it, and then your dinosaurs will go together really easy. When I'm making this, you don't want to keep pulling out your iron for these little tiny seams that are 1 inch diagonal across the corner. So this is we've had the little wooden irons before, and they're nice and they're pretty, but they're little wooden irons. This is the same thing, but it's a really pretty little wooden iron. It's by Quilter Select, and I just love that stuff. And it's just pretty. So there's a purple one, a blue one, and another color that I ordered for you. So they will all be at the store next week. Or, yeah. But that way you don't have to get out an iron and iron all of these little tiny pieces. You just kind of use your little wooden iron, smash it down, and go on to the next section. So, but this quilt, I think it just turned out adorable. I cannot wait till she sees it. And it wasn't bad to make. It wasn't hard, but just keep everything labeled and keep track of what you're doing, and you can do it. And it was all scraps, which is always a bonus. So that's all I have for you. You can stop by the store and see all the samples and get some of these patterns, and we'd love to see you sometime soon.
Hey guys, here at Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum, we always like to make sewing fun start here. And so we appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see more like it, check out this playlist. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you know what is happening here. So we'll see you guys next time.